Alright, alright. I haven't really done this in a while. To just come towards my microphone and sing a song. Yeah, hang up your phone, man. It's like, what the heck? Just hang up your damn phone when you're walking in the city. When you leave the house, just leave your phone at home. I mean, is it really so hard? I don't really know, it's not a song. Is it a song? I cannot tell you. I cannot say if that's a song. I have so many things on my mind. And yesterday, the first time in a long time, I started to sing. And that feels good sometimes. It feels good sometimes to hear my own voice, to hear something else than just rage and lies. Because when somebody's talking to you who isn't really true, then what hits your eardrums is, well, it's also the truth. But it's also, truth in disguise, 'cause that's what is lies. And that is what lies at the bottom of troughs. Until you say, I've had enough. And then everybody says, what do you mean you've had enough? Because we're society. We have to be greedy. Be a bit more greedy, mate. Just take it all in, you know. 1 phone per year. I need more than that. It's a status symbol. Your phone just makes you weak. Not just that it makes you look weak. It just makes you weak. 'Cause you're depending on an inanimate device to give you stability. I mean, I've seen grown men in an ayahuasca ceremony playing with their phones. What the heck is wrong, man? That's not a man. What is it? What is it? Maybe it's a transgender confused person. Or maybe it's a masturbator. A selfish jerking offer. I don't know what's wrong these days, but my name is Christopher. You see, it's like, is it a rap or is it a pop song? Maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe I don't even need music. But maybe it's still a song, because I said it was and it would be. And then it is whatever it is. And whatever it is whatever it is. And whatever it is whatever it is whatever it is. And sometimes whatever is bliss. And sometimes whatever is piss. And when it's bliss, I can find something ugly inside of it. And when it's piss, I can find something blissy or pretty inside of it. Sometimes somebody comes and they make themselves look real nice, and I think, drop your disguise, man, because nobody's that perfect. Maybe I am sometimes, but I have my angry moments, you know. I'm not just smiling all the time. I am, because I can smile about Really simple things, right? It's like I go to like some kind of workshop where you buy these tools, right? And I buy is it called an amateur? I buy this thing for my apartment, like where water flows through, like a crane, right? Like a water crane. And I put it like very improvised. I just put it onto the wall. It's hanging down and all, the reason I wanted that was so that I could connect my water filter. So the 40 euro water crane thingy is just something in between, right? So, yeah, it's like an intermediate stage towards the kitchen. Because at the moment I'm cooking on the ground. And I love it, but I'm also trying, because now comes the problem. Because if I would buy a kitchen, somebody has to carry it here. I don't feel like that. But if I build my own kitchen, and I just get bars or trunks or whatever, I can just carry one by one here, one at a time, and in the end, I have a kitchen. Yeah, because the tool shop is maybe like 2-3 kilometers away. And so that's a nice exercise. I can do this one day at a time, right? Once in a while I go there, I buy something, I carry it here. And if I really feel like it, I can go there again, yeah? And in the end, I have a kitchen. That takes time, that takes patience, that also takes a bit of, just letting it happen. And that's the problem a lot of people have, they want to have everything at once. They go into an apartment, they don't even really arrive there. They just stress themselves so much. Because as soon as they move in, they just have to have everything ready. Right? And most of all, probably their TV and all that kind of junk. So this is not really a song anymore. The song left me. But does it really matter? That's also the thing, I really have to get into singing. Sometimes I even have to almost like bribe myself or talk myself into singing. Because then a voice in my head constantly says, start singing, make a song. And then I say, but I don't want to sing. I really, really don't want to sing. I don't want to sing. Is that so bad? Then it says, if you don't want to sing, then something must be bad. Why? Maybe I just like silence. Maybe I'd rather talk. Sure, I do like singing, but about what? Right? It's like, I can't even play the guitar. Why should I be allowed to sing? I can't make proper music. Why should I be allowed to sing? Right? I still make funny voices. Why should I be allowed to sing? I cannot hold a tone for 1 minute. Oh. This is not the place where I'm gonna go really all out. Because there are also other people living here. And yeah, I don't want to piss them off too much. Because it's 8:30 in the morning. And, people still have to get used to me. So I have to raise the temperature, day by day, little by little. Because I do have some kind of weird things to most people that I do, right? And I'm just trying to not be like the tsunami that I am. More like a soothing wave that just washes over you, and once it's gone, you realize, holy shit, that must have been a tsunami, but a really gentle tsunami. Maybe it's the good version of, well, if you consider it good, right? It's like somebody raping you, and you only realize later that you've been raped. Which still makes it a rape, but I'm not raping you, I'm just doing my own thing, right? You just happen to live underneath me, and that's then your problem. So you can either come to me and say, hey, how is it possible that you sing at 8:30 in the morning while I just hate getting up, and you just stand there and say, the world is in hell and sometimes I live in heaven. Yes, sometimes I really do live in heaven, and then I sometimes also wish I'd be in hell. And sometimes heaven feels a lot like hell. Right? It's like you stop masturbating and your balls just drive you nuts and you just want to have a release of tension. Well, first of all, don't run after women. Second of all, do not touch your wiener. Right? Only when you go to the bathroom, yeah, you may touch the shaft, but not the tip. Like, don't stroke it. Right? Sometimes I lay in bed with a very heavy erection. Well, that's just your sexual chakra working on you. That's healing. And it's very intense healing because there's a lot of stuff wrong. Because I've masturbated for 17 years and now I stop. It's driving me insane because the energy is building up, it's building up, it's building up. And I can feel it. I wake up, I have more energy. Suddenly I want to move. But now imagine your body is weak. You get up. You don't know how to move. I worked on that. I trained it. I figured out how to move, when to move. Yeah, how much to move. I move a lot. So I carry my things to my apartment instead of letting others carry them, drive them here with a car. I had these offers, right? My father said, yeah, I can buy you a kitchen. And I said, no. And he said it again, right? He said it again. Because he just wants to get his mind off work. So he thinks he can make my apartment his little tool shop, where he can just run away from the desk which he cannot escape. Because he never allows himself to take a break. But that's his problem. He's just sitting in the worst posture behind his screen all day. Yeah. And today he had a chance, right, to walk here to his doctor's appointment and then walk back with me together. But he wrote me a text message that he already drove to the doctor with a car. Because he's so stressed and so worried that he doesn't work enough, probably because of whatever else, right? He's afraid, he feels ashamed of things he did, all kinds of stuff. And that's basically the whips behind him. And he doesn't even know he's doing it. He thinks he has to do it. And then he drinks dozens of coffee each day. And he never really lets himself fall unless he goes to sleep. But as soon as he's awake, he's just clinging for dear life. And I sometimes give him a chance. I say, hey, why don't you walk to your doctor? And then I take the card, because there's still things I have to get from my room. So why don't you walk to the doctor, and then when your appointment is done, you give me a call, and then we walk back together. And then he sends me this really afraid kind of message. And I think, I'll just say nothing. Because if you want to be in that fear, then sit in that fear. The next time you're gonna see me is gonna be when I come with the card to my old room, which is where he lives, which is the house that he owned and that his son sold to the bank again, right? It's like really weird. So you could say my father basically freed the house that he bought, right? He sold the house to the bank because he got a credit. And then he paid it off. And then my son and my brother did the same thing. It's like, okay, right, I'm not like this. I rather live in a rented apartment, even though my parents are paying it for me, when you say, oh, what a pampered asshole. When I say, can you accept that there are humans that have trouble living in this kind of world that others have created? I was born into this mess. It's a mess. People run around with a strut, and they say, oh yeah, we have science now that explains everything. It explains nothing. It never explains how I feel. It never explains how energy is flowing. It explains nothing about this. It's just like you look at the surface of things and then you say, that's how it is. You never go into depth. And I go into depth all the time. So when somebody sells a house to the bank, he's basically the bank's bitch. And then he has to pay off that house for the rest of his life because he couldn't humble himself to live in an apartment. I have to have a house. Why don't you just live in an apartment and then leave the house? Because your garden is a trap because you're never in it. You know, my family, the people that I grew up with, which I try not to really see as my family because my family is the whole world. Which sounds a little bit like maniac, but to me it isn't, not really. So just stick with that point. They have a house, 3 floors, a giant cellar, and what do they also have? A giant garden. They don't ever really spend any time in there unless they mow the lawn or they do something with flowers, but they don't just sit in the garden under a tree. They never do that. They basically do nothing. It's just for them to look at and to pride themselves. This is mine. This is my tree. And the fence around it says nobody can get in there. That's just the pinnacle of being selfish, and that's basically everyone. You know, the space that anyone has is like, that's mine, that's mine. It's like Germany, right? We're gonna defend it. You know, it's the United States. If you try to come in here, we're gonna bombard you. It's like, what is going on? There are no boundaries. These are just concepts in your mind. It's like a bunch of people that are afraid of everyone else lump themselves together in the concept of Germany, and then they say, we are all Germans. I'm not a German. You know, I spent my time in this area because I was born into it. And as much as I tried to escape it, I'm still here. And then you get to like the area. That's even worse, because now you want to leave, but now you love it so much. How could you ever leave, right? It's like if you love a woman, like really love a woman or really love a man, how could you ever leave them? And what does it mean then to have sex with another woman? Is that okay? Is that cheating? Is that betrayal? Is that breaking of trust? Or is it simply that's the way it is? See, I don't really know what the consequences would be. I have a feeling or a fear that although I do love a woman very much, and I think she loves me as well, but she just gives me nothing. Maybe from the distance, but I don't know that. You know, I may feel it sometimes, or I may hope that I feel it, but to me it's unreal. And I've said it a million times to her. You're a coward. If you want me, you have to say something. So I've just started looking for others. And now, if something comes up, how far am I gonna go? Well, that's a feeling. Now, if you ask somebody else for advice on this, they're either gonna say, well, sleep with them or don't sleep with them. Or they're gonna say, well, if you love this other woman so much, then why don't you... You see? It makes no sense. Because in the end, I have to make a decision. If I go ask other people, I ask people that aren't in my specific place. If I ask other people for advice on this, it's bullshit. So what I do is I simply go with the flow. But I also see where does it want to flow. At this point I can say I don't really care. to be honest, I say I want to spend time with a woman. And when I find someone that I get along with, I don't really care how old she is, if she's like 15 years younger, or 20 or 30 years older. I don't really care. If there's a woman that wants to learn together with me and spend time with me for however long, then I say, all right. But I'm not running after them, right? I'm not that desperate. I can deal with my balls feeling like they're about to explode. I can deal with that. And in that sense, I meet tons of really beautiful women all the time. And all I can say is, well, maybe one of them will say, hey, I want to spend time with you. Simply because of a feeling I give them. And not because I keep chasing them around. And now I'm back to the problem of women. Because to me it's very important. And that was one motivation why I said I want to stop to masturbate. Because what I really want is to be with a woman. And that thought already is so beautiful. To just sit with each other, to hold each other, to cuddle, to smell each other, right? To nibble on each other's skin. It feels so overwhelming that it's driving me insane. Already, right, just when I sit or I lie down and I just place my hands on my stomach and I hold it there and I feel the energy flowing and suddenly I have an erection. And then I just feel into it how it would be to be with, well, now I have a specific woman in my mind, a young woman. It's just that's personal, right? I don't have to go into detail with this. It's just somebody I met, right? We connected. And sometimes I feel into this and there's just, wow. It's just the energy is just, blah. And that's sometimes when I can't, it's too much. It feels really nice. And that's something that pornography can never give you. Yeah. So if you look at the pictures that I put into this video, what you can see is it's all DIY. I like doing things myself, right? Life is a hack job, and you have to figure it out, right? It's all your choices, and if you let others make choices for you, then it's still your choice to do that. Because in the end, you make the choice. And that's why I keep my problems close to the chest, because if I have them where they belong, which is my heart, then my fears cannot chase me around doing really stupid things, right? So I carry my own problems with my heart, right? It's something that actually makes me strong. While most people are just being pressed into the ground by the weight of their so-called problems, while a problem is basically a solution in disguise. All you have to see is, oh wow, that's the solution. I was chasing a woman all this time, and she never even responded to my emails. That makes me so incredibly angry. So what do I do instead? I look for somebody else. I just ask people, do you want to spend time with me? Right? Do you want to do a cacao ceremony? Why can I say that? Because I know how to do it. If I wouldn't know how to do it, and I would meet somebody that says they know how to do it, I would ask them, hey, would you like to show me how to do this? Right? Because cacao ceremonies are very nice. Or you just look it up on the internet, and then you look up how do you do a cacao ceremony? Which spices speak to you specifically? Do you like cardamom? Do you like nutmeg? Do you like vanilla? Of course, it's a more expensive spice. It also comes from an orchid, which I find nice. But what else would there be? Cinnamon is also very heartwarming. You can use cayenne pepper, chili pepper. Yeah, you can also use black pepper. You may use even turmeric. It's also grounding. may even use ginger. You may even use cumin. You can basically use any spice that you like, that talks to you. Right? But to me, yeah, okay, when you do a cacao ceremony, it shouldn't be only about the taste. Because ayahuasca, in the beginning, it tastes awful. It's really bitter. Because it's also for physical cleansing. As much as it is for emotional cleansing, it's also for physical cleansing. So some people say ceremonial cacao also has to be a little bit bitter. Because it's medicine. But in the beginning, I did use honey or sugar. I would say honey is a bit better. Or maybe maple syrup. If you have a really nice maple syrup, you just put a bit in to give it a bit of a sweet taste. I think that could help. Because it's also nice with a cacao to just say it's a little bit sweet, so that when I drink it, I also enjoy it. Because I don't really eat that much sugar anymore, not as much as I used to, and sometimes I miss it. So I don't have to say completely no to sugar because it's so bad. No. But there's also spices that are a little bit sweet, right? I can make use of that. So there are so many ways to figure things out for yourself, right? You don't just have to smoke cannabis. Yeah, or take really strong psychedelics. And to some people, cacao is very strong. I have a very large tolerance. But I also got more sensitive, which means if I drink a cacao now, it really is like a ceremony. Whereas before it was more more of the same. But when you stop masturbating, there's so much energy in your system. That's gonna be used, so when you then drink a coffee, you're already tingling, you're already vibrating. And now then imagine having sex. After having saved yourself for some time. For a woman, whatever that is, right? Because I work also with what I have available. If I go and I meet someone and I feel like we connect on a certain level and I say, hey, do you want to do a cacao ceremony at some point? And then she reaches out to me and we have a conversation and then she never calls me again, then I simply say, okay, that one was a phony as well. But I would have gone for it if she would have kept coming. Because I said, okay, so at the end of the call, I said, so you're gonna contact me and tell me when we're gonna meet. Because I also want women to take responsibility for what they want. Women also need courage. But if a woman doesn't have courage, then what would I do? If she's afraid, that means I would have to run after her all the time. And that's really a lesson that I have to learn.